Hello. We're
Hello.
back once again. Back once again on the Chatterbox with yours truly, the King Jacob, the $1 billion voice, and with special guests, part two of the Ignoring the Red Flags with Dr. Sabrina Wisdom Barnes. And tonight's topic is accountability, loyalty, and self love. So, how do we engage all of the when trying to ignore the red flags? So, we spoke last Monday, Dr. Sabrina, about the red flags and the signs of how it's hard to let people go, but we see these red flags throughout the friendship, the courtship, the business relationship, or throughout the situationship, or throughout the relatives that we are born into, the genetics that we come from, and a lot of people say that um, blood makes you related, but loyalty makes you family, which is a bold statement and a strong statement. So, uh, back to this conversation. This is part two. So, accountability, loyalty and self love. If we can go ahead and chime in on that subject at at hand, and what does that mean to you? Accountability, loyalty and self love. What does that mean to you before we get into the red flags?
Mm. Okay, so basically, to me, because self love, that's probably going to be something I might focus on a little bit tonight, a little more than some of the other ones. Because accountability is simply just making sure that you're responsible for yourself and the things that you do. That's really what accountability is. Self love is basically treating yourself, if you think about it, how you treat other people that you love, giving yourself that same courtesy of treating yourself the same way that you did for other people, and what was the last one?
Accountability, loyalty, and self
Loyalty.
love.
And loyalty to me is just basically being about your word. All of it have a lot to do with yourself and being about what you say you're about and your belief system.
Mm. Okay. So, how does the red flags tie in with this? How do we ignore the red flags when we holding somebody accountable? We're testing them to see if they're going to stay loyal, or if they or do they actually practice loyalty, and what type of self love do they have for themselves in order to give you that love that you deserve as a friend, a family member, you know, um, as a situation that you're involved in when you're coming together as one. So, what are the red flags that we see that we ignore when it comes to those things?
Well, I'm gonna kind of work backwards because you can't give somebody else self love. They
Hmm.
have to do that for themselves. So if somebody
Right,
is trying to make it seem like they can give you self love, then that's already a flag because only you can give
right,
yourself that. And if somebody else is trying to give you that, or you're giving somebody the power or the right to do that, then that means that you are giving them the love that you should be giving yourself because they don't matter when it comes to self love. As far as accountability, we don't make people accountable anymore for their actions. A lot of people don't make other people accountable. Um, Turn the other cheek, like we were saying last week. A lot of people believe in turning the other cheek. No, I'm gonna make you accountable for everything you say and do. Girl, count it to my head and not my heart. No, I'm gonna count it to something.
mm,
We gonna count it to something because you can't just say or do what you want to do and expect nobody to say anything. See,
mm.
that's the thing about being accountable. Oh, girl, excuse me, this is just how I am, and that's fine. But then you have to also understand that there are things that come with that. There are
Mhm.
consequences that come with that. Consequences don't stop because you are who you are and you say what you say. Everything that you say, God said He's going to hold you accountable by every word that proceedeth out of your mouth. So if He holds you accountable, why we can't? As far as loyalty is concerned, um, we We make excuses for people and give excuses to them for them to use towards us of why they are not loyal. Well, they don't know, or they haven't been taught, and and that's fine. But that doesn't, again, stop the consequences behind what they do. If they choose to remain like that, they have to take responsibility, accountability for the consequences that's going to come their way. Because, okay, you might not have known how to love, but that doesn't stop. Other people are not going to be like, oh, well, you don't know how to love, so that's fine. You cuss me out and then you want to hug me. We're cool. Not everybody is going to respond in that manner. Some people either going to cuss you back out, they're going to stop talking to you, or they're going to confront you.
Hmm.
So it doesn't stop a consequence. And that's why accountability is so important, because you want to be accountable for everything that comes in. You can't make excuses of why you are who you are and why you are what you are. You have to take responsibility and accountability. And that's also in self love.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So with that being said, you say that you can't make excuses if you've never been taught. Interesting point. Okay, but one for the ones who've never been taught about being accountable for your actions, being accountable for your speech, being accountable for your body language, being accountable for your eye language. Uh, that goes. It's a lot that you're supposed to be accountable for that people don't, pinpoint. And so, when a person is not accountable, I mean, when you want better, you do better. So if you want people to look at you and take you face value for your word, then you gotta hold your not they don't have to hold you accountable, but you gotta hold yourself accountable. So self accountability. Let's talk about that.
Okay. Well, first of all, holding yourself accountable, you have to be aware. It's an awareness that comes with everything. And in order to hold yourself accountable, you have to be aware of everything you do. Most
Hmm.
people don't want to be aware of everything they do. Most people are not aware of everything they do. And sometimes it hurts too bad for you to really look at yourself sometimes in that manner, because there are things that you should be doing, but you haven't been. And that's kind of a hard pill to swallow sometimes, because some of us beat ourselves up worse than anybody ever could. And because of that fact, it's hard to evaluate oneself, but is necessary for growth and for maturity and for success.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So from a counseling standpoint of view, and I know you counsel people. We already know that you can be having a peaceful day and somebody will call you and just throw this on you in your day. I'm not gonna say it's kind of disruptive, but it's kind of disbarred from what you had planned, to do of some things you had to handle. But yet, being the type of person you is, you definitely take the time and you definitely still try to help them. So when it comes to a counseling session and you're talking about self accountability, what are some of the conversations that you will have, or what are some of the questions that you will ask the person that's coming to you with these type of hardships? Because without no self accountability, there is some hardships that you got to face. And so when they're trying to get over the hardships, and you guys are talking about self accountability, what what is the number one question that you ask that person that you're counseling?
What did you do wrong? That was one of the number one questions. What do you feel you've done wrong in a situation, or what do you feel like you could have handled differently? Um, what is it that you feel like you contributed to the situation?
Hmm.
Whether it be you not doing something you felt you should have done, or you doing something that you felt you should not have done.
Hmm.
So those are really the first questions to ask somebody, because that'll show you their awareness of where they truly are with looking at themselves. Some people go around the question and some people won't answer it directly. And some people just don't know. So you have to figure out where they are. So that would be my first thing is they have to recognize what part they might have played in because that's what accountability is, responsibility, taking responsibility for your own actions.
Mm. Okay, okay, okay. So, with that being said, why have they not taken responsibility? And who has taught them to take responsibility and learn from learning from their mistakes? Would they do they know what being responsible is now? So, you know, it's like a Q&A session, a counseling session, Q&A session. The questions go back and forth and you come up with a solution. And so, what does responsibility mean in self accountability?
Well, going back to the first thing, basically, who taught them, probably nobody. Life will teach you if nobody else do.
Yeah.
Better than anybody can ever tell you, really. Life will teach you. So if they're aware or if they want to be aware, they have all sorts of examples in life that shows them, okay, hey, that's not maybe so good. If the people keep on rejecting you on this, maybe you need to look at that. If the people keep snapping on you every time you look at them, say something in this tone, maybe you should change it. You know, it depends on if people, because people be hurting. There's a lot of movements in the world. So let's go there for just one quick second. There's so many movements that allow people to think it's okay to be who they are and what they are. And don't change anything because you're a great
So,
op-
Dr. Barnes, when you say movement, what type of movement are we talking about? Emotional movement, mental movement? We talking about physical movement? We talking about spiritual movement? Are we talking about a disbarment of anger and depression issues that lead into a that's is not a movement, is only a stagnation of the process to grow and go further?
Well, as far as I'm just referring right now to how or who's telling them. That's that. So however they're getting it from now, how they react might be a disbarment because of what they've went through and because they just choose not to care about it
Mm-hmm.
or I don't want to change. Those are
Mm-hmm.
two separate entities. Why I do what I do is completely different from where I got it from. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So TV or different things amongst the TV and these movements and Me Too and You Too and everybody too could cause a lot. Own your own everything and be everybody love this and it's okay because there's some truth in that, which is why these movements are able to continue, but there has to be a balance with things. You can own who you are, but that comes with owning who you are. What I mean by that, what do I mean by that? I mean that if you're owning who you are, then you own everything that comes with that. So if you're a person that got to tell it like it is, um, you gotta own what comes with that personality trait. So if you tell
Mm-hmm.
somebody like it is and you got another tell it like it is person, y'all gonna clash. You can't be like, oh, they shouldn't have said that. No, if you say something to them, you have to understand that there might be something coming back at you. So that's what I mean by people not taking accountability. As far as disbarment, they're not going to want to deal with anything if they don't want to deal with themselves, if they don't want to deal with how they are and who they are. Why do that?
Hmm. So, since we're talking about accountability, let's talk about two parts of the accountability.
Okay.
First, we're gonna talk about people just taking the accountability when doing business with people, um, living up to your word, not dropping the ball. Um, you know, meeting, meeting. Uh, uh, living up to a referral that has been referred to you, and not making someone you did business already look bad. So the business aspect of accountability. So if you can chime in on that a little bit.
I can chime in all day on that. Oh, I just had an incident like that. I mean, when I come to do something, I come fully prepared. And what do I mean?
Uh-huh.
I bring staff, I bring everybody. When I'm hosting an event or helping somebody host an event, I bring everything. What is it that you have? What don't you have? So in this particular instance, I bought everybody that I had of what they did not have, which was pretty much everything. And
So
what?
hold, back up. So someone called you.
Mm-hmm.
They said they was doing an event, and they said they want to host it, but they didn't really have nada, zero, not nothing.
What they said they
So
didn't have, and it was not even put together. Because some people will ask you to do things, and they mean well sometimes, but they don't have everything. Or some people they know you have, and they pretend like they do not, so they can get what you have. So that's what basically happened to me, is that I felt like at the end they knew what I had and they played the damsel in distress, you know. Oh, I don't have what what am I going to do? And then of course people like us, because we have loving hearts and we're giving, we're givers, and so we're like, wait a minute, here I come to save the day because you don't have to struggle. I don't want you to struggle. And I came in and bought everything that that person needed. And when that person did not do right, I'm trying to be very selective here because I don't want anybody to get offended because they may watch me, but
who cares if they do? So
huh,
what?
what you
So
say? So,
what?
so what? I just like to give that respect because people know this person and
Well. At the
knows that
same time,
it ain't
if
gonna be that great.
right, if a person know what they did, they know how they did, know why they did it, and it come out like, oh, you made me look bad. No, you made yourself look bad. Like
True,
really,
truly,
like why you want to blame other people for you looking bad when you know that you didn't have nothing in order, when you know that your mindset was totally on the wrong thing, and you know that the original mindset that you had when it first came to working with this person, you felt like you can get over on this person. And so when you feel like you can get over on this person, that's why God come up, he show up and show out. So, especially if he know you're in the wrong, or it may be somebody that's sitting back watching, they come up and show out. Or why you raising all that saying? Because you're not gonna do this person like that. This person is a good person. And so
right?
I refuse to sit back and let you do this person like that. So, you know, with that with that being said, do I care about stepping on toes? Never.
Oh no,
Move
I
your
don't care about stepping on toes, but I know other people know this person, and I feel like there's an integrity that goes to me with doing business. One thing I'm about is I'm about calling you out, but what I call you out with is between me and you, because I'm gonna call you to the carpet about what me and you do, and
uh-huh.
no have anything to do with that. But then there's a time where if somebody come to me and ask me, Sabrina, what about this person? And then I'm gonna be honest, because I don't hold anything back with that. Now, do I put them on blast outwardly? No. But if I'm asked, because people see when you're connected with somebody, that's why accountability is so important. People see when you're connected, and so some people even will go behind your back to try to connect with your connection, not knowing what kind of relationship you and that connection had. Then they get upset because, girl, you didn't tell me this, but you didn't tell me you was gonna run behind my back and start doing all sorts of stuff with the connection. I didn't even know y'all was connected. And people do that too,
Mhm.
trying to undercut you because they want to act like they did it instead of you helped them because they don't want to give you the credit. But that's a whole nother show, I'm sure. But as far as this particular person, When I asked them to have an event at their place, which, mind you, they did not pay me for what I'm worth at all for everything I've done for them. Borrowed my stuff because I have decorating things. They borrowed my stuff, didn't pay me multiple times, didn't clean it, didn't take care of it. And then when it came to me having the event, we had discussed it twice. I'm very thorough. Everybody that know me know I'm very thorough about business because you have to be. The only
Mm.
problem that I did not do, and when it comes to business, I will say this for everybody listening, I do not care if people get upset about this one. I don't care if you're a friend. I don't care if you family. I don't care who they are to you. Contracts are always in order. And I don't feel like, because people will be, I had somebody tell me, a pastor say, well, if they your friend and if they feel like that, then you shouldn't have to do that because trust and truth is all you need. Here's the thing with that. It's not just about if you trust somebody or not while you get a contract. And I really want to push this. It's even to remember things that y'all have discussed, because sometimes in the excitement, the hustle and the bustle, y'all put and say things, and then when it comes back around, if things start happening, I don't remember saying that. Did I say that? No, I don't remember. I wouldn't say that. You know what I'm saying? Things happen, so it's for even the remembrance of what I've said, remembrance of
Mm.
what we decided and what we was gonna do and how we was gonna go about doing it. Then it helps to go back and look and see, just so you can see how your progress is, if y'all on track about everything. So it's multiple reasons why, to me, contracts is in order, and I don't care who they are. And she told me, she threw it back in my face, and I wasn't even mad at this. I was not mad. I promise you. She said, Sabrina, was since we don't have a contract. I said, and that was the number one thing I told her. So how am I, accountability, gonna be mad at her when I had actually instilled that into her to have a contract? Now, how she did it, was it grimy? Absolutely. But Sabrina, you didn't have a contract.
Mm.
Had you had a contract, she wouldn't have been able to do that foolishness.
Okay.
So we have to take accountability for things we don't do too. And that's another reason why um, I just don't deal with people anymore. If they're like that and I see they're like that, and because she canceled my event, where we're going to have to cancel your event because I feel like, even though we talked about it twice and she agreed, because I didn't have a contract, well, I don't feel like this is the best interest of me, and we're gonna have to cut your cancel your event. And this was a week, not even a week. This was like 5 days before my event. I had invited people, put it out on Facebook, TikTok, and I said, you know what? I said, well, in light of, because we got to know, be accountable for how we handle things in business, even though we mad or upset or whatever, or don't like somebody, even if it's a friendship, I handle it business. I said, you know what? In light of the new information that you are giving me, I said, I am going to have to cancel the event, and God bless you on your future endeavors.
That's such a nice way of putting it. You are so nice. Bless your heart. On the other hand, uh, you put it in such a great, mannerable way. Yeah, you're definitely mannerable, but canceling my event before, 5 days before the event, we got some problems, and I
Oh, there
don't,
was
I
a
don't,
problem.
I don't know if I would put it in that way, but I would put it in a way so they do understand. You know, I just got to get paid for my pain and suffering. You gave me a headache. I got a migraine. You know, I can't sleep. You know what I mean? The right side of my shoulder hurting. No, no, bro. We gonna have to. Because a small $500 situation can easily turn into a $7,000, $8,000 situation easily.
Well,
Yeah,
one, I didn't pay her. Two, she was gonna let me use the thing for free. The way the thing worked is everybody was gonna do their own individual thing, because she has a restaurant, and everybody was gonna do their own individual thing. But here's why I responded the way I did. One, I took accountability that if I had
A
a
contract.
a contract, that would have never happened in the first place. And
Hmm.
big on contract. So I went against my rule.
So you dropped the ball.
I dropped the ball. I
Uh-huh.
accountability. I did that. So she couldn't, people can't do nothing without us first opening the door for them to do certain things. And that's accountability. When you did that, it hurt. It hurt. Even when you just said, so you dropped the ball. Pride hit me because that's what happens. And let's be real. I love real conversations, King Jacob. I love real conversations because just in that moment, we gonna show some people some stuff because I did drop the ball. That
Right,
hurt
right,
to say
right.
sometimes because your pride want to be had. You don't want to admit that you did something wrong. You really want to go after that person and be like, no, you. But reality is, it was me. If I
Mm,
had a contract, how could she do it without a contract? Now, if she did it with a contract, then I will come after you legally. But legally, I
mm,
couldn't really do anything to her because it's my word against hers. And who's
mm.
to say she's going to be honest? Here's the, oh, and this is something that my mother, she is such a wise woman. If y'all think I'm good, y'all ain't seen nothing till you seen her.
Mm,
What she showed me a long time ago and told me, she said, Sabrina, one, you have to be responsible for your own actions.
mm,
And two, you have to come into a place where if you did not do what you were supposed to do, you have to make sure you stand in that, you look at it, and you change and transform that. I couldn't
mm,
really, I couldn't honestly really get mad at her, at the lady, because it was right. Even though she did that low key shade stuff, I'm not going to
mm.
focus on that because I know what to do next time and I know what I should have done. I did not do.
Right.
And so now I'm going to have to stand in that and say, you know what? I did not do that. And because I did that, I opened the door for what she did. Now we can focus on, well, it was her fault. And she did this, and because she did that and she did that. Yeah, but how was she able to do it? Why was she able to do that? Because I did not follow through with my number one rule in business: get a contract. So you pay prices. And I just thank God it was an expensive one.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that things happen for a reason because I had been thinking about disconnecting because they do not handle business as business with other people. And I was connected in such a way where I was dealing with her people and she was not helping me to maintain my integrity because she was not integral. So I
Mm,
went out anyway. And God used that situation to get me out. We got to also look at stuff like that. Sometimes
mm.
God would allow things to happen with people's lack of integrity
Right.
in order for you to keep your integrity intact.
Mm. And mercy. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll come back live at you with Dr. Barnes on the Chatterbox with King Jacob. Stay tuned for more important messages. All right, we're back again with your boy King Jacob on the Chatterbox with Dr. Sabrina Barnes, and we're talking about accountability, self love, and loyalty. So We have spoke on accountability, and we're going to speak on one more topic on accountability. Parental discretion is advised on this topic that we're speaking on. You
Okay.
know, because we would never want the kids to get the wrong idea
Hmm.
that we're bashing the church, but we're not. So, how do the church body hold the church ministry accountable?
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, this is gonna be a doozy. So, first of all, being able to be in an environment where you can speak up is ideal. But
Hmm.
if you're not, being secure with who you are to be able to speak up about how you feel and your feelings out of respect, I feel like that's how we can hold them accountable. And the reality is that we really shouldn't have to hold them accountable. We should really just like, we have to hold ourselves accountable. To me,
Hmm.
they should hold themselves accountable, and we should be able
Hmm.
to come to them and say, hey, this is what you said.
Hmm.
Why is this not being done?
Hmm.
Or why is it being done like this in this manner that you completely spoke against or preached against? And so I feel like that's how we could hold them accountable, by just when we see something that's not right, we approach it with grace and respect. But in the same sense, they should be accountable for their own words, and we should let them know that if this is what you're going to preach, then you need to be a product of what you first preach and teach. A lot of them are not a product. Go do that. Don't tell me to go sweep the floor if you ain't never swept a floor. And that's just common. Even when you go back to business or life, that's just common knowledge. Because here's the thing: you can't respect me and what I'm doing unless you've been there, because you'll know effectively how to respect me in it. You'll know how I feel already. A good leader always do what they're asking somebody else to do, and will not require of you something they are not willing to do themselves.
Mm.
You have to be your first partaker of the fruit you're asking me to eat.
Right. 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 Right.
I ain't eating that.
Well,
I want to see what it is. You eat it first.
but the church has been eating forbidden fruit for a while now. And with all the narcissistic things that go on in the church body, and all the controlling behavior that goes on in the church body, um, and with all the I can't say this because I don't know how the pastor is going to react goes on in the church body. So can people really be themselves in the church, or do they have to have this certain type of aura where you don't step on the deacon board toes, the usher board union toes, the pastor toes, and what really should a woman be able to go in the pastor study and close the door when the first lady is sitting on the pew?
Well, now you're just opening up some can of worms, ain't you? Okay, so let's go back, King Jacob, because you touched on a couple of things. One is that it's not really about if we can or can't. It's about, as far as us, if we see something, we say it. Now, there's
Hmm.
do things out of respect, and that's why I put that forward. You can respect them. Now, there's a law. Let's go to the Bible. Let's go to the Bible. What does the Bible say about confronting? It says go to that person first, one on one, right?
Hmm.
Second thing, it says if they won't listen to that, then you bring a witness, right? And
Hmm.
don't listen after you bring a witness. It says take them before the church. Now,
Hmm.
if you go,
But Serena, how prestigious is this person that won't listen, and how is the church body gonna be how is the church body going to take you bringing this person before the church body and the church congregation when this person is put on a pedestal in the church eyes? And so, how does one get across that hump when he's been making a pass at her every Sunday for the last 2 years? She's uncomfortable. She's tired of it, and she can't really open up about it because nobody in the church is gonna believe her. Because people might say she want attention, or people might say, "Ain't she the same one that got 3 kids with 3 different daddies, 3 different baby daddies? Why would we believe her? She don't even know how to navigate through society." I'm just saying.
No, that's true. And that's happened not to me because I don't have 3 different baby daddies, but it has happened to me where the pastor hit on me and he was married. Now, here's the thing. Again, let's take accountability. Let's unpack that, shall we? So let's say she do have 3 different babies by 3 different baby daddies. At some point, somebody told her that's not good at the life she living and the way she go. Remember, I said take accountability also means take a responsibility for whatever comes with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying that we have to understand of how heavy our actions, past, present, or what we're considering in the future,
Mm-hmm.
have a lot to do with how people treat us, have a lot to do with how people view us. And even though we don't care about what people think, you care at certain moments, like you said, if people won't believe me, and maybe the pastor rubbing on my behind every 5 seconds in the office, and I'm uncomfortable to say something. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Um, Here's my thing, and here's how I approached it. My thing was this. One is I told the pastor to his face, no, this is not what I'm gonna do. This is not how this is gonna go down. And when I seen that he started retaliating on me because I said that, other people started seeing it. I didn't have to say anything. All
Mm-hmm.
I did is pray. See, there's a few things, but now if he put his hands back on me, was I just gonna sit there and pray about it? No, I'm gonna call you out, and I'll call you out in front of people. Or from now on, when you call me to your office, I'm bringing somebody else.
Wow.
I ain't just going in the office with you by yourself because I know what you're about now. So I'm gonna bring brother such and such in. I'm bring sister such and such in. Somebody gonna be in that office with me. And that's only first of all, I have a problem with pastors being in the office with women without their wives sitting right next to them because that's order. If I'm
Uh-huh.
pastoring, there is somebody that's going to be there that's going to witness what I'm saying to that person because all sorts of stuff nowadays happen in the church. That's just even for his protection. Let's just say he ain't feeling on you or doing nothing negative. There are people in the congregation that come and say the pastor did stuff to him just to laugh.
That's true.
It
That's
can,
very true.
yeah, it can be on either end, and it's just best to protect yourself and just have somebody. That's why the disciples went 2 by 2. There was
Mm-hmm.
always a witness. There was always a witness. And if you
Mm-hmm.
are the Almighty God, you better have a witness because anybody, you don't know what people have mental disorders and everything else. You never know what is
You
going to.
know, it's funny you say that. We talked about emotional PTSD on the phone today. And so, listen, I seen some pretty happy first ladies, but I seen some first ladies that you can tell that she wanted to say out loud, and she never said it. She wanted to say, "I'm tired of this nigga bullshit, faking for these people in church." You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You
Uh,
know, so the emotional stress of being a first lady can be overbearing, or it can be the happiest time in a woman's life. You know what I mean? And so, that stress and that the question is, since we're talking about loyalty, why do you think some of them still remain loyal. Um, and after you answer that, the next question is: do people in the congregation love the pastor more than they love God's word?
Well, the form of why they stay together, the answer to that question is basically because of their view on faithfulness, um,
Okay.
their view of marriage, because there are specific things that are said in the church about not getting divorced and stuff like that, and stick to it no matter if you're doing whatever.
But Dr. Barnes, faithfulness without happiness is hopelessness. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And it creates a internal. The external looks good outside, but it creates the internal, what we call Christian emotional trauma.
Hmm. Yeah.
You said you walk into Christ filled life, but you emotional disbarred, and it causes so much trauma on the inside till it runs your blood pressure up. It causes stomach ulcers. It causes you to have this chronic pain in your sides because you can't sleep at night, and you're sleeping on this side, and it just and your body's so balled up and so crunched up to like you when you turn over and you see him, it's like traumatizing because you don't even want to be around him or her, but you still stay loyal because you don't want people to say anything, and you think that God is going to punish you. But at the same time, if you're not happy, you can't have peace of mind. If you and if you don't have peace of mind, how can you follow God's direction?
Well, the thing is that in the beginning they probably didn't follow God's direction about it in the first place, because God would have
Hmm.
told them to hold off.
Uh-huh.
That's one.
Hmm.
Number two is it's a lot of fear going on, and it's a lot
Hmm.
of people causing fear in the church. So because fear motivates you to stay, fear is an immobilizer. So if I say, well, you're going to go to hell if you get divorced, or you're going to go to hell if you don't work it out, and you're going to go to hell, and that's the program that they have in their minds. Remember, the belief system is the most powerful thing you can ever do. That's why when
Hmm.
we talk about accountability and self-love and all that, even with the self-love aspect, let's bring that back, because if you really loved who you were and knew who you were, there would be certain things you don't even put yourself in a position to even do, or
Hmm.
put yourself in a position to take. What
Hmm.
are you believing? Who do you believe you are? Why is it that you stay? You got to be
Hmm.
so much in touch with your feelings that you got to understand, why did I stay there? Why am I in this position? Why do I feel so strongly to stay in something that makes me so unhappy? And that's the thing. The other thing is, let's not even go to the unhappiness. It's some women that wants the position of a pastor's wife because of the clout.
Yes. Say that again. You're right.
It's not all
Absolutely.
about them being hurt and harmed by the pastor. Some of them stand because they like, I got a name. Some of them just want the fact of having a husband. It's about having a husband. It ain't about having the love. It's about having that man, because that validates them and validates who they are.
Hmm.
So it's so many realms of why a woman stay in a unhappy situation. And I'm not saying it's good that the pastor does so many things he do, but let's unfold that a little bit, because women don't want to talk about this sometimes. And some women, they just want the position or they want the prestige, so they ain't laying with their husbands. They ain't giving them none, and wonder why he looking at other women's booties and doing all the stuff he doing behind his office.
and a lot of them ain't just looking at other women.
Exactly.
Whoa, pimping. You know, a lot of them come from that pimping Wood Baptist Church. You know what I mean?
Well, they can do that too.
So,
But
so you know,
point
and
a man
go
want to be
ahead.
on a woman. At some point, a man sometimes, if you settle down, some men when they settle down to marry a woman, a lot of times they really like the woman at a point, and sometimes and vice versa with a female. Now, this is going completely into a relationship thing, but when it comes to the respect of something, when respect is lost, that's when a lot of that stuff start happening in the first place. Accountability.
What
So
about how you feel about church folks in the LBGT community
how do I feel as far as what?
as as far as what the Christian folk uh don't stand for, because it's pastors out there that absolutely won't marry the same sex in their church. They won't do it. I know quite a few. So what's your take on that?
Well, I will say,
Like,
I'll say this: from the beginning of time, we've had our rules in the church. I feel
uh-huh.
like everything should be respected on everybody's ground. I don't come
Mm-hmm.
on territory, and you don't come on mine. As far as trying to push your views up on people. Now, when it comes to, and I'll give this analogy. When my mom had white carpet, you couldn't come in her house and walk all over her stuff with your shoes. You got to take your shoes off.
Mm-hmm.
Her house. And my
Mm-hmm.
house, I had hardwood floors.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, wipe your feet before you walk on my floor. That was my.
Right.
They got their house. The church got their house. However, they decide to govern their house to me is there. Just don't go. It's just like my Facebook page. If you don't like what I have to say, just find another page. It's we so bothered by everything. Just go and do your own thing somewhere else. Don't try to force me to do it. And that's how I look at it. Same thing with the church. Don't try to
Yeah.
force your views on them. Just can't be here. Y'all don't have to. And this is how I handle my life. This is life, you know, and this is self love too. It's okay if you want to be how you are, if you want to do what you do, but you do what you do over there, not over here. I govern what I do. You govern what you do in your house.
Mhm.
And we can keep it like that. If everybody respect their houses, I think it'll be better than us trying to force feed something onto somebody. And that's on both LGBTQ community. And I mean it. I don't care. You can cancel me because I feel like that just as much as I feel about the church. Because they talk about the church, but it's say the church talk about them, but they talk about the church and discriminate too, because all of us are not the same. All of
That's
us
right.
are not treated equally. So I just, when it comes to that, stay in your home, stay in your lane. If that's something you want to do, that's fine. They already got the media. That's good enough. Don't try to bring it up in our churches. This is something that we have governed for many years, centuries. Don't try to do that. That's how I feel about that. I feel like if they got a church that they do that over there, that's like they got a pimp church in Chicago, pimp and prostitute church in Chicago. Yes, they do. And so I don't go to that church because I
Uh,
ain't no prostitute and I don't want to be pimped.
uh, welcome to Pimpin' Wood Baptist Church.
It is
Well,
it is one there. It is real. I got a auntie that's homosexual that go to this one church in the city, and a bunch of them go to that church, and they were known for having homosexuals in the church. Hey, I just don't go there. I don't worship there. If they want to do that, that's fine. God and them
mhm.
gonna have to do that, not me. So
Okay then.
I don't have to say with that, really.
Okay then. So for that last question that we was gonna talk about, are is the church congregation more loyal to the pastor, or are they loyal to God's word? Which one is it? You can't serve two masters.
It just depends. I mean, it depends on the person. That's a very individualist type of question, only because I might be like how I call people out, and I'm like, hey, for God I live, for God I die, type of thing.
Right.
Everybody I feel that way, where because
But
all
why do? But why? Okay, if you say that you're trying to get closer to thee and walk like thee, and you say that, and you say you like you like Paul in the Bible. Give me a heart that knows no ill. The pastor can't give you that heart,
no,
huh?
but
The pastor
somebody
can't.
don't know. We understand that people, just like they don't know any better, somebody has to, like, there are people who come off the street. They're like, if we look at it like this spiritual birthing process, they come out of the street and they're just birthed maybe into or conceived. They're in conception mode, maybe. Just a little seed in there. They don't know anything. They don't know how to handle themselves in church, how to conduct themselves. They don't know what they should say, what they should do, who they should go to. And they're solely relying like a baby on the person to feed them because they don't know.
Mm,
So there has to be a transitioning and spiritual birthing that have to do with you transforming from an infant even, or a newborn baby, to an infant that's eating the food, the meat, the chewing. It's a process. So some people might rely on that person and look at them like that because they don't know any better, because they're babies in Christ. And
mm.
so they like, you have to spoon feed me the word and spoon feed me. But there has to come a time, accountability, where the leadership says, no, you have to now walk on your own. Now you got to start putting one foot in front of the other. You got to start feeding yourself. You got to hold your own bottle. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? You have to desire their own sincere milk, but it's a process. So I'm not too harsh. It depends on if they, because see, if you don't as a pastor do that, then you have, spiritual stagnation and all sorts of things in the house of God, and that's why people aren't growing. But a lot of that is because pastors want to really control the congregation. So if I want to control you, have you ever seen that parent that gave their child everything and did everything for that child? And when they got older as an adult, they still was doing stuff they should have been let them do. And then now all of a sudden they're not independent. They're still dependent on them because they don't want them to grow past the point where they're not needed.
But wouldn't you say that's what we call oppressing the church congregation? I would say that's a form of mental church slavery.
Well, it's a form of control, mind manipulation and control. And that is what we
Right.
call craft. So,
Right.
and it is, but the reality is that some pastors, when they just went and they weren't sent, that becomes a problem too. So all of it is balance. All of it is learning. All of it is accountability. We got to deal with all of that in that because
You
we have to
said
take responsibility.
you you say they went and they weren't sent.
That's what I said.
You know what? You know what? That might be what I call ratchet, ready, and righteous.
Ratchet, ready, and righteous. Now that's funny.
Yeah. you
That
know,
is ratchet, ready, and I mean, but many go because they feel like they're chosen and they feel
mhm.
like they're anointed for the call. And hey, I'm not the one to tell them that they're not, because I don't argue with anybody that said God told them nothing. I'm not in your whole conversation with God.
Well, I'll tell you this, Doctor Bourne. Some of the most anointed cats I ever met in my life, man, is people that do street ministry. Like I done met some females and some brothers, man. Like, listen, I know if they went in that pulpit, the pulpit can hold them because everybody's so kind of closed minded. Like they don't think outside the box. They don't. They don't. They don't. They don't think like you know. These brothers will go to the club and pass out condoms, or or they was They was going in there passing out, bacterial wipes and sanitizer and in the script club, you know what I mean? Like they wanted to reach the people that they feel like the church had gave up on. And these sisters and brothers was powerful, man. These these street ministers was so powerful, man. Like, they be at the park while the kids playing basketball and giving the word, and the kids stop the whole game to listen to what they got to say, and inviting kids to, prayer service and Bible study. And then after they do that, these men will go on the court and go hoop with them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, that's powerful. Because sometimes you gotta meet people where they at, and not for where you
Exactly.
want them to be at. Yeah, you
God
gotta meet
tells
people where they at.
God tells us to go out and compel them to come in. That's what
Hmm.
so they're being obedient to what God said anyway. He didn't say stay in the church and only build only the people in the church. He's telling us to go out, and that's why the church is dying now, because there are people who just stand in the church and they won't go out and get nobody, and that's fear too. And we're living in a society where we're kind of arrogant, or we're full of ourselves and thinking of ourselves and how we look. It's about how we look and how people perceive us. And that's what the world wants us to do. They want us to be powered by the way others look at us, so that we will not be strong enough to go out there and talk to people, because we're afraid of how they're going to perceive us or how they're going to react, instead of just going out there. It'd be
Hmm.
the harshest people. I did
Right.
ministry. It'd be the harshest people that got the greatest hearts and the humblest spirits. I've been
Yeah,
in the
cause
jail, and
I
they was
done been I done been in the trenches, and I'm talking about brothers been in prison for 15, 20 years,
right.
man. But be some of the most humble brothers, some of the best hearts you want to see, man. They just to tell you, man, wrong place, wrong time, and I paid for the mistake I made, and that's it. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, I mean, I don't never try to judge a person because they had some troubles in their life, but a lot of times I learn a lot from them because where I see where they surrendered. First they repented, then they surrendered, and now they're able to bear witness and shed some of that light, on other people, whether it's people that's younger, the youth, or whether it's people that's in their intermediate years, middle aged people, always whether it's the elders. Because one thing about it, if I'm walking the straight and narrow, and God has made me what we call a wisdom taker. You know what I mean? I take the wisdom in that he gave us because it's a lot of wisdom in that book that you call the Bible. A lot of wisdom. You know what I mean? So you have to become a wisdom taker. You know what I mean? A wisdom taker and a knowledge seeker. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
you got to understand why Job faith was like it was. You know what I mean? If we if we walking around here had even 2% of Job's faith, life would be so much better. For real, for real.
It
You know,
would,
Job Job gave glory to God until the
man.
flesh
Right.
fell off his bone. You know what I mean? So, man, listen, the flesh fell off your bone, and man, listen, man, don't get me started up here, man. Listen, listen. But anyway, we have to meet people, and we have to seek that energy from God, man, that allows us to touch people. You know what I mean? Not physically, but touch them in a spiritual way that can uplift their prognosis, of darkness and help them see a different light. I'm not gonna say you're gonna bring them out of that place in one day, but I'm saying if you leave them with a message in the meek, wild hours when they're by themselves, they'll understand that message and be like, God must gave this message to me. This was his messenger. And so yes, I have to receive that.
Truly.
Yep. So it's been another wonderful episode, Queen. Dr. Bones, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. you
Like
know,
what?
we vibe. You know what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
vibe. You know, we vibe, man. The conversations be good, from all different type of, angles, and we just change the narrative of how people conversate about different things, man. Like most people won't talk about accountability and self love and loyalty, and next Monday we're gonna have that, church folk, Christians, and street ministers. They're gonna be the topics, and we're gonna break down what all of them bring, good or bad, and we'll break down what is the red flag when a person can't get it mentally and emotionally and spiritually unto what God has sent them to bring to you. Now, yeah. So I'm gonna say peace, love, and soul, like Don Cornelius, the late great Don Cornelius, and just want you to give out your um your social media handle, and then we gonna say peace. We gonna get out of here.
Miss Thick Couture, MZ Thick and Couture. That's it.
Okay, okay. Is there a website they can check out?
MysThickCouture.com. Same
Mister.
thing, same handles.
Oh, dang, you heard what she said, man. Peace, love, and soul, and thank y'all for tuning in another magnificent Monday. Dr. Barnes, I'll be in touch. You have a wonderful night.
Absolutely.
Peace.